The Brussels Airport, Mark Twain, and the Chicago 7 are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is February 18th, 2022. It is the 49th day of the year. We got 316 days left. It is lucky number 7, Friday in 2022, in the 8th week. 60th day of winter, 30 days left until spring, and you're still an amethyst or an Aquarius. Telling you, I'm going to find something to replace that. Today is National Drink Wine Day. There's something to celebrate. February 18th is observed as annual National Drink Wine Day. This day serves as a reminder to drink wine. I know a bunch of housewives in Torrance, California that don't need a reminder. Wine actually has some benefits. Moderate drinkers of wine have lower risk of liver disease, type 2 diabetes, certain kinds of cancer, heart attack, and stroke. It also can reduce the bad cholesterol and increase the good cholesterol in your system. I'm not sure the facts on this one, but I heard dark beer does the same thing. All right, let's see what else February 18th has given us. 1791, Congress passes a law admitting the state of Vermont into the Union, effective March 4th, 1791. This is after the state existed for like 14 years as a de facto independent, largely unrecognized state. So we knew it was there, we knew what we were calling it, we just didn't really make it official. Sort of like dating. Everyone knows you're a couple, but until you get married, a lot of people don't recognize it as official. I actually have a couple friends that have been together, I want to say 30 years now. They never got married. I guess they don't want to commit to anything. 1885, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain is published in the United States for the first time. So his books, by today's standards, have a lot of racism in it. You know, it's 1885. Slavery was still, it was outlawed, but it was still kind of a thing here in the United States. I shouldn't say a thing. It was fresh in the country's memory, I should say. And I mean, this is a classic piece of literature, and it's too bad by today's standards. People just don't want you reading it because they say some words in there. I don't know, I'm a little weirded out by things like that. When you take something that's classic like that and you start butchering it to go with the political correctness of the day. Now, granted, there's no place in a modern society where you should be saying things like in this book are to people of different races or whatever. Tom Sawyer was a lot bigger with this one, his other book, but Huckleberry Finn had its moments. Sort of reminds me of when CBS did Tom Sawyer. They tried to do it by the book, but since there were so many references to Jim, the black guy with them, and what they called him, they decided to cut Jim completely out of the CBS movie. I was like, are you kidding me? You can't cut Jim out of it. I think I honestly watched like 10 minutes of that. This is back in like the 80s or 90s, and I turned it off. It was horrible. My point is, you need to put things in context, especially in the context of when they were created. As a society, we should just look at these things like, going forward, any new books written aren't going to have this, but let's understand things were different back then. 1930, Elm Farm Ollie becomes the first cow to fly in a fixed-wing aircraft and also is the first cow to be milked in an aircraft. Why they needed to do this, I have no idea. But this happened on February 18th, 1930. 1954, the first church of Scientology is established in Los Angeles. That documentary they did on HBO called Going Clear did not put Scientology in a nice light. There's this one actor who was on Californication. He's been on other things, but he was talking about how he joined Scientology when he first moved to Hollywood and was getting his career going because it's a great place to make connections, self-improvement. He said he was all in. And then when he got to a certain level and they take him to this secret room so he could read these documents, he said he's reading it. It's like all this aliens are coming down to take him to another place. He's like, that's when I checked out. 1970, the Chicago 7 are found not guilty of conspiring to incite a riot at the 1968 Democratic National Convention. This was a serious turning point in the Vietnam War. All these kids, college kids, and adults were protesting the Vietnam War at the Democratic National Convention in 1968. Well, the police were heavy-handed in this in a big way. If you watch all the old news footage, they were just cruel to people. There's one video I saw of they had a guy obviously on the ground and like 6 of them just were beating him with the sticks. Another guy gets totally jammed in the back while he's walking away, and he just turns towards the camera. You see he's obviously in pain, and before he has time to recover from that, one of the other police hit him right over the head with a nightstick. I've always looked at that and kind of read about it over the years, and I get the vibe that's kind of when the government really lost control of the youth of this country. And honestly, I think it was the footage that the news was showing of just people getting beat by the police. This is back when the news used to just show the news and not give really opinions or anything like that. Sure, it was a little slanted, nothing like it is today. Netflix did a show on it in 2020 called The Trial of the Chicago 7. Sacha Baron Cohen plays Abbie Hoffman, and it was directed by Aaron Sorkin. 1972, the California Supreme Court, in the case of People v. Anderson, invalidates the state's death penalty and commutes the sentences of all death row inmates to life imprisonment. 1983, 13 people die and 1 is seriously injured in the Wah Mee massacre in Seattle. It is said that this was the largest robbery-motivated mass murder in U.S. history. So it starts off as robbery, then they start killing people. That was in 1983. That place was padlocked the day the police were through with it, with their investigation. Never opened again. 2001, NASCAR champion Dale Earnhardt dies from an accident on the final lap of the Daytona 500. I watched this happen. I got into NASCAR for a few years there. It was the last lap of the race, and his friend, Michael Waltrip, was in the lead. Michael Waltrip had been racing for years, and he'd never won a single race. He'd been racing since he was 12, but he was in the NASCAR main show since 1985. It was called Winston Cup back then it was Xfinity and everything else. So Dale Earnhardt's trying to block these guys from coming around and catching up with Michael Waltrip. While he was doing this, one of the other cars they clipped, and they went right into the wall, and he died. 2010, Wikileaks publishes the first of hundreds of thousands of classified documents disclosed by the soldier who is now known as Chelsea Manning. I'm not a big fan of this dude, woman, whatever now. When you're a soldier, you have a certain responsibility not to basically do things like this. There's a way of going about things. There's a chain of command. Always had a problem with people that do this stuff. That puts people in danger. Not saying what the United States was doing was right, but it put people in danger. 2013, armed robbers steal a haul of diamonds worth $50 million during a raid at the Brussels airport in Belgium. Movies released on February 18th, 1994. Blue Chips. Didn't have a lot of big movies this day. Blue Chips was okay. It was like the first time I'd ever seen Shaquille O'Neal act, but it stars Nick Nolte that plays a basketball coach who is conflicted about the cost of winning in college basketball. Ultimately, he decides that winning the wrong way isn't something he wants to be involved with. Nick Nolte actually went to Bobby Knight, who's like one of the most famous ever and one of the best basketball coaches, college basketball coaches, and he went to him to learn how to be a basketball coach. Born on February 18th, 1968, Molly Ringwald. I love her. She's a former teen actress best known for being part of the Brat Pack. It was a group of 1980s actors who frequently appeared together on screen and at clubs and everything else like that. She was in 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, so many others. Died on February 18th. 2013, we lost Jerry Buss. He was the owner of several sports teams, including the Los Angeles Lakers. He worked as a chemist and then went on to be a real estate investor. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2010. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, be nice to each other.